When you think about the best zones in World of Warcraft, names like Elwyn Forest, Stranglethorn Vale or Duskwood might immediately come to mind. They're iconic, atmospheric and densely packed with story and activity, but I wanted to offer a different perspective. What if I told you that Mulgore, the starting zone of the Tauren, might be the best zone in the entire game? Not just for its visuals or quests, but for how it feels, and for what it represents in a world increasingly designed around linearity and fast progression. Mulgore, a zone that defies the typical theme park design of other MMOs and instead offers something quieter, more expansive and profoundly immersive. In my opinion, Mulgore is unlike any other starting zone in classic WoW. While most early areas funnel players down a narrow, clearly defined path, breadcrumbing quests and pushing you towards the next NPC, the next camp or the next kill quest, Mulgore, for me, stands massively apart. It breathes. From the moment you step out of Camp Narash, you're not being forced forward, you're being invited to explore. Taking a look around you, the land is wide open, rolling plains stretch in every direction, massive pine trees tower above you, like the sort of things you'll see in North America. There's a soft golden haze that paints the entire zone. It's warm, comfy, and ultimately a very cosy starting experience. There's also no looming threats right outside the gate, and I think that forces a lack of urgency and just a sense of peace almost, and space. I think Mulgore isn't really telling you to rush, it's actually just telling you to exist and breathe into the game naturally. I tend to find with many modern MMOs, and even some of WoW classic zones, you can almost see the roller coaster tracks underneath your feet. Zones are designed like amusement parks, and this is something that WoW Classic, or should I say not just WoW Classic, games in that theme park genre sort of are plagued from. Tightly controlled, segmented experiences where the game decides what you should see and when. Go here, kill this, now go here and repeat. But I do feel like Mulgore as a zone in its entirety completely defies that. You're not really on the rails and you're not being herded from hotspot to hotspot. I find myself wandering and discovering a lot in this zone, and have frequently come back and actually just started Tauren characters to experience this zone for another time. The quest designs, while simple throughout WoW Classic, the zone kind of complements that slower pace in quest design, and the quests send you across these far plains, to the Bristleback Pigmen in the east for example, and the Venture Co in the south. You kind of see these pockets of uncertainty and pockets of threat in and around the zone, but in between this you're with these sort of luscious plains and luscious fauna that really makes the game feel like you're safe in one moment and then going into some of the darker depths of the zone in others. It's incredibly immersive, and it does feel like this is a living area in this world, especially when you see some of like the patrolling Kodos and the other mobs and fauna in this zone. It doesn't feel like you're just playing on the tracks, it feels very much like you are exploring and seeing what WoW Classic has to offer. Mulgore is a very big zone, not just in scale but in feel. The wide open skies, the long distances between quest hubs, the fact you can just ride your Kodo across the plains and see nothing for a while, it just really adds to that sort of immersion and that sense of magical places that you can find in WoW Classic. I think Mulgore ultimately gives you room to think and room to breathe. It doesn't cram your experience full of distractions, and it trusts you to engage with the world on your own terms. And that's right out the bat. After making a character as a Tauren, I would ultimately urge anyone starting WoW Classic to actually go in ahead, and even if you aren't making a Tauren character, make any character you like, but travel to Mulgore just to experience it. The fauna in Mulgore feels incredible, it feels alive. The zone is teeming with different wildlife. Unlike other zones, every creature seems designed purely to be killed for a quest. Mulgore animals feel actually natural and actually a part of the zone you're in. The Kodos lumbering across the plains is a really cool feature, and actually you can also see the ground shake underneath your feet, especially when they're passing past you. You've got birds, otherwise known as swoops, circling in the sky. They're notoriously difficult to kill, but memorable for exactly that reason, especially early on in your leveling journey. And in amongst this, you've got your wolves, your plain striders, your mountain cougars. They don't just feel like filler, they do paint like a picture of actual ecosystem in Mulgore, which I think really adds to how well designed this zone is. There's a lot more mystical elements to the zone to explore. You've got things like harpies, which add to that sort of feel of uncertainty, across the zone itself, and then you've got the sort of bristleback pigmen in these kind of pockets and camps in and around the edge of the map, which again gives that sense of exploration to go and find them, but also adds a little bit of threat to the zone while not going overboard with the sort of magical mystical elements that you see across World of Warcraft. I think Mulgore ultimately matters because in a game that's driven by stats, efficiency and combat rotation guides, Mulgore reminds us of why we fell in love with World of Warcraft in the first place. It's not about the loot, it's not about the optimal XP route, it's about the world, the feeling of existing in it. And there's been a lot of times in World of Warcraft where I've just stopped, I've taken my hands off the keyboard and mouse and actually looked around at what I'm actually seeing and what I'm experiencing in this game. And there are definitely areas in this game that I would just love to visit in real life, and Mulgore is definitely one of them. Mulgore is definitely, to some, not the most exciting zone in the game, but for me, the zone feels very, very sincere and very well designed. It doesn't try to wow you, if you pardon the pun, with flashy quests or high drama. It invites you to slow down, to look around and to really connect with what you're playing with. In a game that's so focused on rushing to the next thing, Mulgore's simplicity, expansiveness and immersion really builds this rare and beautiful thing you don't find in many amusement park or theme park style MMOs. So next time you want to roll tour, and just take a breath, take your time, and remember what it means to actually walk in zones like Mulgore, not just to go and conquer the world and rush to end game getting your tier based sets, but actually think about how you belong in this world and how you're actually immersing yourself in the world that we spend so many hours in. Now, many people would also argue Elwynn Forest being a very iconic starting zone. I think Elwynn Forest actually deserves its own entire video. I do love Elwynn Forest. I love that human Elwynn Forest, Westfall, Duskwood, Redridge starting experience. Definitely going to look at making a video on that leveling path as a standalone project, but I just wanted to take some time to discuss why I think Mulgore really matters to the game, and hopefully everyone can get a chance to experience it in their WoW journey.